Cosmogenesis in 4.3 got nerfed so hard that the normal path to level 5 is basically impossible. Research used to give you 190 advanced logic per new technology. Now it gives 10, that's a 19 times reduction. You need to research 4.5 thousand technologies to finish, which is never happening. But there is a strategy that bypasses the entire grind. By combining two specific Ascension perks, you can unlock every single Fallen Empire building at Cosmogenesis level 1, including the ones that are supposed to require level 5. No leveling up needed, and those buildings then fuel the Synaptic Blade to rush you to level 5 anyway. Let me show you exactly how it works. Quick report from High Command before we dive deeper. Most of you watching aren't officially enlisted yet. If this run gives you ideas for your own games, subscribe and join our Navy. Before we get into the strategy, you need to understand why the old approach doesn't work anymore. In previous patches, reaching Cosmogenesis level 5, which required 45,000 advanced logic, was very straightforward. Just research new technologies. Each one gave you 190 advanced logic, and by naturally progressing through the tech tree, you would accumulate around 80,000, far more than the 45,000 needed. You would hit level 5 almost passively. In 4.3, every source of advanced logic got slashed, on top of requiring 60,000 advanced logic instead of 45 for the tier 5. So research new technologies dropped from 190 per tag to 10, that's 19 times less. I applied Infinity Thesis from 10,000 to 1,500, retained Scholarium Vessels from 250 to 30, Control Science Nexuses from 800 to 200. At 10 per tag, you would need to research around 6,000 technologies to reach the 60k. That includes an absurd number of repeatables that no normal game will ever reach. The passive research path to Cosmogenesis is essentially dead. The one thing that wasn't nerfed is the Synaptic Blade. This megastructure still generates advanced logic at the same rate as before, but with the economy nerfs making pop scarcer than ever, feeding the blade is more expensive. Every pop that you send to be processed is a pop you can't replace easily. So the question becomes, how do you build an economy strong enough to feed the blade while maintaining your empire? The answer is Fallen Empire buildings, and there is a way to unlock all of them at level 1. Here's the core of the strategy. You need two Ascension perks, Cosmogenesis and Enigmatic Engineering. This sounds counterintuitive. Enigmatic Engineering by itself gives you a limited version of what Cosmogenesis offers, access to a maximum of 4 Fallen Empire buildings randomly selected. It's decent on its own, but nowhere near the full Cosmogenesis package. However, when you take both perks together, they interact in a way that most players never discover. Cosmogenesis removes the 4 building limit from Enigmatic Engineering, and Enigmatic Engineering unlocks the ability to research all Fallen Empire buildings, including the ones that Cosmogenesis normally gates behind level 5. The result? At Cosmogenesis level 1, with 0 advanced logic grinding, you have access to every Fallen Empire building in the game. The strongest buildings that are supposed to be the reward for reaching the highest crisis tier, you get them almost immediately. These technologies will still anger the Fallen Empires when you research them, but the diplomatic penalty is far less severe than what you would trigger by actually reaching the Cosmogenesis tier 5. You get the buildings without painting the galaxy-wide target on your back. Fallen Empire buildings aren't just stronger versions of regular buildings, by the way. They provide something almost nothing else in 4.3 does, Specialist Job Automation. In a patch where Specialist Automation was removed from basically all empires, Fallen Empire buildings are the only remaining source. This means you can automate your ally production, your research, your unity, the specialist jobs that normally require valuable pops. With automated Fallen Empire buildings handling your specialist economy, your actual pops become expendable, and expendable pops have a very specific use in this strategy. Here's how the full loop works. Step 1, you take Cosmogenesis and Enigmatic Engineering, unlock all Fallen Empire buildings at level 1, granted that you have the technology output to research research them because they are very expensive, especially if you play on Grand Admiral difficulty with regular tech levels like I do. Step 2. Build Fallen Empire Specialist Automation buildings across your empire. You can also build the worker one if you wanna handle your energy credits. These will handle your alloy, research, and unity without needing any pops. The step 3, since your economy now runs on automated Fallen Empire buildings, resettle your freed up pops through the Synaptic Lathe, or resettle them to somewhere else like a research world to even snowball even harder if you so desire. Step 4, the Lathe processes those pops into advanced logic and research output, which comes in a feedback loop, getting you more technologies and etc. It also reduces your empire size because you're gonna get less pops. The numbers are that a Synaptic Lathe loaded with 30,000 pops generates roughly 3,500 advanced logic per month. With this setup, at that rate you reach the 60,000 needed for level 5 within about a year or two. Yes, it will melt those pops in the process, the energy deficit is enormous, but you can stockpile enough energy beforehand using the Shrink Space Depot, one of the Fallen Empire buildings you just unlocked. If you need more pops after the first batch, your Fallen Empire automated economy is strong enough to sustain conquest. Take neighboring empires, resettle their pops to the Lathe, and repeat. Every war fuels your crisis progression. Now, talking about a step-by-step execution, you need both Cosmogenesis and Enigmatic Engineering, but the order matters in most cases. I recommend you grab first the Cosmogenesis, as it will instantly start accumulating advanced logic. Synaptic Lathe buildings cost this resource, so you need to have some stockpiled so you can begin improving the megastructure. There is realistically one situation where Enigmatic Engineering first is recommended, when you don't want to wait until the 5th Ascension perk. Since Cosmo required 3 previous Ascension perks, Cosmo always comes 4th, and Enigmatic Engineering coming 5th might slow you down if you don't have a good Unity outcome. However, this is a very niche scenario, because unless you have a massive technology output, your bottleneck will always be tech due to how costly the Fallen Empire buildings are. So when your Fallen Empire buildings are online and your economy is automated, you can stockpile energy, you need a massive reserve. The Lathe at full capacity will drain thousands upon thousands of energy per month. The Shrink Space Depot helps, but you can supplement with a Dyson Sphere or heavy energy production. Vessels can greatly help with their taxes. Begin resettling pops to the Lathe planet. Start with pops from jobs that are automated by the Fallen Empire buildings, since they are literally doing nothing productive anymore, but you can resettle them to do something productive if you have freed up worlds, or just grab some slaves from conquered planets if you have them. That's pretty much the best case scenario. Purging your pops though won't harm relations with other empires, so if you still want to have good relations with everybody, you're gonna need to burn out your own pops. So with this, your Lathe will get massive amount of advanced logic. At 2,000 per month for instance, you'll patch each crisis tier in months, not decades. If you run out of pops, you can just conquer. Your Fallen Empire automated economy and military make conquest trivial at this stage. Every conquered empire is a fresh batch of Lathe fuel. Now, for viewers who haven't reached the Cosmogenesis level 5 before, here's what you're working toward. At maximum crisis tier, you get access to the strongest ship components in the game, and the strongest ships as well, better than anything available through normal research. Your ships become dramatically more powerful than any empire can field. You also unlock the ability to reshape reality itself with the Infinity Thesis, the Cosmogenesis endgame mechanics that pretty much combined with the Fallen Empire buildings you already have from level 1, you are operating at a power level that nothing the game can really challenge. The irony of this strategy is that by the time you reach level 5 through the Lathe, you have almost all of the practical benefits from the Fallen Empire buildings. Level 5 is the capstone, not the foundation with Enigmatic Engineering. The foundation was already unlocked at level 1 with 2 Ascension perks. Now let me show you exactly how I executed this strategy in our recent playthrough. From perk selection to Fallen Empire buildings, paired with the Synaptic Lathe strategy to get almost to tier 5 without even passing the tier 1 and harming relations with Fallen Empires. So since we have both the Cosmogenesis and the Enigmatic Engineering Ascension perk, it means that we can research all the Fallen Empire buildings without actually needing the Cosmogenesis tier 5. That is kind of a, I don't know if that's a bug actually or if it is intended, but it is very strong. And since we conquered a lot of pops, what we can then use is those pops in a synaptic glade that we are just building on the Ruriu system. There it is. Lovely construction. Once the megastructure is up and running, we're gonna resell the fanatic purifiers from the Chosen, these disgusting fellas, and they're gonna be chemically processed in the synaptic glade to produce us a lot of advanced logic. But before we do that, we also need to fortify our fleet, because the entire galaxy will start to hate us, including the fallen empires. So we are not in a position to declare war on them, let alone win against multiple fallen empires at the same time. Well, we can research the first fallen empire building, the Shrink Space Depot. However, it's gonna take 100 months because our tech is very low and our empire is very high because we conquered way too much of the galaxy. So we're gonna leave that for now. If it was the research building, I would certainly go for it, but since it is just a resource storage capacity, that's not the most important one at the moment. And our synaptic glade is completed. Now the first thing we're gonna do is upgrade the building, and we are gonna build the neural gate. Why the neural gate action? Why not the Amplirifts speculator? Because this provides us with 0.02 advanced logic, it is very minimal, and this one provides us with a hefty amount of research. And keep in mind that we already have all the available requirements to research all the advanced Fallen Empire buildings, since we have Enigmatic Engineering plus Cosmogenesis. The only thing holding us back at the moment is just the amount of tech that we can produce, and for this reason we are gonna focus on this type of district. Just take a look at the Synaptic Overclocker as well. It gives us 0.5 advanced logic per 100 neural chips, literally 25 times stronger than this district. I don't even know why they put this in the first place. Now this is very interesting. Too many of the neural chips plugged in the synaptic glade have burned out. Unable to sustain itself, the network of the structure now faces a catastrophic collapse unless we deploy fresh components. Do it, 100 pops. We are continuously building the neural gates to get us more tech, and once we research this technology, the synaptic overclocker, we're gonna get it on the buildings as well. Mega engineering technology, how I love you. We definitely want to have a science nexus, so we can have the research speed bonus. Yes, let's make a tributary out of the Onek Garak. You're gonna lose a little bit of diplomacy and other good things, but it's fine because we're gonna charge them a lot of tech and a lot of basic resources. With this we're gonna get a little bit like 400 tech and 800 energy, 700 minerals, 200 food. Amazing. It's gonna fix our energy credit deficit and allow us to resettle more pops into the synaptic glade, because this thing right here, man, it consumes more energy than my computer. They agreed? Bam, everything in the positive. We have 1000 per month, which will quickly fill up the energy stockpile, allowing us to resettle things to the synaptic glade. They're called things, they're not called human beings. Non-human beings though, but the species, they're not called people anymore. Right, now that we have 24,000 energy credits, you're gonna see how much tech we're gonna get just from this synaptic glade. We have some very bad vassals from the chosen ones, these guys that we hate them. And we also have, yeah, like they are unemployed slaves. For some reason they are not being occupied in these jobs. They are refusing to even work the most basic functions. So that means they deserve to be chemically processed in the synaptic glade. Let's resettle. We're gonna resettle first just 2,000. 2,500. This is gonna get a little bit above 100% efficiency, and you're gonna see the planet production. Bam! Yes. 1,600 tech almost, and 48 advanced logic per month at the cost of 300 energy. Not that much, by the way. Now we're gonna resettle even more of them just to quickly speed up. We're gonna keep our population. We do not wanna kill our own kind. And let's resettle even more from here. There we go. Now we have 4,900. They are producing us 3,000 tech, and people are starting to hate us, I believe. Yes, because we are being a genocidal species. That's okay. The technology advancements are worth it. So let's resettle even more pops to the synaptic glade to boost our research and finish the first Fallen Empire building, the Shrink Space Depot. As now we have 10,000 pops, that's a very large amount of pops and producing us a great amount of research as well. Now, due to the overabundance of happiness being spread by the Festival of Worlds, some people wish to remain here. well, they're gonna stay, but they don't even know that they're gonna be resettled to the Synaptic Lake at some point. Yeah, now that we have a lot of energy credit stockpiled once again, let's make a major resettlement into our Synaptic Lake. Now this one will be ridiculous. We're gonna burn through all of the chatty noise. Do not like this kind. Unfortunately, we do not have the building that gives us more output for every neural chip that we have. That would be huge. The only problem is that we don't have the technologies. So yes, it's gonna be less than optimal, of course, but we need to scale up our economy if we are to defeat the 25 times crisis, all crises enabled at the regular endgame date. So now we have resettled all of the excess population we have on our colonies. They're gonna produce us 15,000 tech at the cost of 6,000 energy per month, and they're also gonna give us 500 advanced logic. If we had that building, man, I'm really thinking about just not doing that and consuming all of our slave population and instead waiting for that to appear. Oh, that's a tough decision. Amazing. So yes, the Synaptic Resonator, this is the building that we wanted. It's gonna take 4 years for us to finish the research, but it's gonna pay off tremendously. Look, commanders, a tier 5 technology, the Hyperforge, already available to us, and we are still at tier 1 in the Cosmogenesis. Yeah, we finished our first Fallen Empire building, the Galactic Commerce Hub. Now look, commanders, we already have 25,000 advanced logic at this point in the game, at Crisis level 1, with the great Fallen Empire buildings, the Hyperforge being researched at the moment. We only have a lot of Empire size and we are playing at the Grand Admiral difficulty. That's why it's taking so long for us to research. If we were optimizing everything from the early game, we could have done this a lot faster, of course. However, we are playing this in a more roleplay approach. That's why we aren't that strong. But, as you can see, with 25,000 advanced logic, we can progress already to the Crisis level 4. So we can get the Stinger Titan, which would be the equivalent of the Paradox Titan, very good Fallen Empire buildings and components, only requiring the level 5 we would need around 60,000 advanced logic, right? So it's a little bit higher than 45,000 from the previous patch, but we can do the applied infinity thesis, which do not require pops at all. So with only 20,000 pops that we resettled from the slave worlds that we conquered, we already reached level 4, enabling us to get easy access to the level 5 by just doing the applied infinity thesis. And we have no requirements to progress towards the crisis levels at the moment, since we have enigmatic engineering, plus the Cosmogenesis. We can just be passively researching the extra good Fallen Empire buildings without harming relations with the Fallen Empires that much, because if you get high levels on the crisis, the Fallen Empires will immediately declare war on you, but just researching the technologies one by one, they get a little bit of bad relations, but not terrible enough to declare war on you. So that's gonna be everything for this video, commanders. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you guys next time.